You are listening to Insights with Kathleen. Please join me while I share my insights and experiences with the hope to inspire you to look inside of yourself for the answers that you already have. As with all information we receive, take what speaks to you and leave the rest.
All right. Well, hello.
Hi, guys.
It is January 12th, 2022. I just felt the need to spell out the date. I don't know why, people, but
Just in case you guys didn't know when this was airing.
or just like, when we recorded it, because we could be just like a bunch of homesteaders and we could have just recorded a bunch of stuff and held it back, put it in our little pantry and then just pull it out every so often. We could have done that.
We could, but this is fresh, guys. Certified fresh. So you're getting it right now.
Ta-da!
Ta-da.
Hey, Sherry.
Hey, Kathleen.
Do you know what I want to talk about today?
Whoa, wait. What? You want to talk about something today?
Yes, I am going to drive the conversation today.
I like that. Snaps and claps. I'm all here for it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, I hope the rest of you can appreciate this. Okay.
I appreciate it.
So we've been having like some of these like fun experiences.
Right. Yeah.
Cherry and I have spent the summer exploring different aspects of us.
Oh.
Right.
Yeah.
And of life. And we've had many encounter with different people. Right.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So Cherry's got some really juicy stories, but we won't share those now. But through our conversations through like since last summer through the fall and even the holidays, it's interesting because different people will come to us talking about their experiences, right?
Right.
And then some of the same messaging that we would share back to them was about perspective.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah. So that's perspective, Sherry. Let's have some perspective.
Let's have some perspective. Now, when you're saying perspective, what do you like? In what context do you mean? Because that could be like anything.
Well, it can be. And that's the beauty of the word perspective. All right.
You goober. Perspective means perspective. What's the matter with you?
Look it up in the Webster Dictionary. Oh, wait. Do they even exist anymore? Anyway. All right, hang on.
They don't.
Sorry.
No, they
I'm
don't.
just a silly Billy today.
You are pretty silly.
So, more specifically, as we're talking to these people,
Yes.
and some are like, either overly excited about something, and we're kind of like, okay,
Right.
Like I don't get that excitement, but hey, good for them,
Right. Yeah.
Because it's their perspective on what had happened.
Yes.
Sort of the same with somebody who's coming at and bending our ear and who's all upset and doing a lot of yelling.
Right.
It's from their perspective.
Yes.
Right. Like I just had to share this story because I just think that this is really
Please,
hysterical.
yes,
So I'm talking to my dad, and mind you, like I have this childhood, very turbulent kind of a childhood. My dad's childhood, even worse. I mean, his father was an alcoholic. He used to beat his mom. Parents would split up, and at one time they thought the mother and the father got into a really bad fight, and the mom took a frying pan and whacked the dad across the head, and she thought she'd killed him, but the old man's head is just so hard.
Very hard.
Yeah, just like him, right? Anyway, just to give a little perspective. Get it? Perspective. So my dad, as I'm growing up, my dad is still growing in himself and trying to love and respect himself, and he had very little control over his what was happening to him in his own childhood, because he shares stories with us of how he never stayed longer than 1 year at any one school. Like his whole high school career, he was at a different school for each year of high school. So basically when he graduated with a bunch of strangers. So like a lot of us, and I'm saying a lot of us, not all of us, but a lot of us are fortunate enough to be able to build these relationships through our school career,
Right.
Up until college, to where, we have some of the same people, even though we may not be friends with them all,
Yeah.
but we at least, recognize the faces,
Right.
and kind of get a little bit of a sense of security through that.
Right. Yeah.
So he didn't have all of that. And the reason I'm saying all this is because it just really just feeds the energy that he put on me the other day.
Oh, and what was that?
So, also, and I'm sorry, I have to set this up. This is me. I set it up.
You got to set it up. Yeah. Context, people.
All right. So we all know that the world is dealing with the whole COVID stuff, and I don't really want to get into it. And everybody, it's a personal choice, and everyone has their own perspective around it.
Right.
The word again. Perspective. You know what? We probably should be counting how many times
I was
that
gonna
word
say,
is said.
like,
all right. So y'all listening, start counting because this could be a fun game.
2 points for every time she says perspective. Go. Right. 15.
So, I have personally chosen, for various reasons. Some of it, it's a very personal choice, but I had decided for myself that I would not get the vaccine. Mm-hmm. And I can sit here and I can list the many reasons why. Yeah. But that's not what we're talking about today. Right. My dad, who should have and did, got the vaccine, just to secure his own well-being because, he's very elderly and he smokes a lot and on and on. And what's funny is he's been very vocal and pushing on me, and I can only give him part of my reasons because he wouldn't understand the rest of the reasons because a lot of people wouldn't understand it. not that I'm saying that, I'm that it's not that I'm smart or anything like smarter than the next person. It's just how my body works, right? And these are personal choices for me. Yeah. Excuse me. So And it's certain programming I don't want to invite in. So I'll share that with you, and I'll share that with our listeners. To me, the vaccine sometimes is about programming, and it was just a program I did not want to enter into. Right. So that all being said, my adult children had decided the same. Mm-hmm. And, and I did not try to, program them into thinking the same. It's all about their perceptions, right? And then giving them the space to have them. So my son, who was traveling to see his girlfriend, came down with a version of COVID. Ooh. And he was, other than just having flu, right. He was pretty okay. Nice. So I don't want anybody worrying about that. But my dad will call and go, so how is so-and-so? And, what are they up to? And did they come home yet? And I'm like, well, no, but they have COVID. And he starts yelling at me. Oh, wow. Why? I can't believe you people. I don't know why you didn't get that vaccine. And I'm like, Dad, getting the vaccine does not stop you from getting COVID. Right. You can get the vaccine and still have COVID. And then he goes, blah, blah. All right, I don't want to talk about it anymore. Because then he heard what I was saying. Right. And so he had a different perspective about the vaccine than I did. Right. And for those listening, I will tell you straight up, that vaccine does not stop you from getting COVID. It's supposed to help lessen the symptoms. Yeah. Right. And it's important for those who have compromised immune systems. Right. And who can tolerate the vaccine. Anyway, all right, my plug is over. So then we dropped it, and we're having this lovely conversation, and we're catching up. And at the very end of the phone call, I'm like, okay, Dad, I love you. Oh, and Dad, I'll let Johnny know that you yelled at us for it. Then he starts laughing. Yeah. Because then he had a chance to see a different perspective himself. But he honored me for my perspective much as I honored him for his perspective, right? Right. So he's yelling at me from his perspective. He's screaming at me in the phone. Right. I'm giving him the space to feel what he needs to feel and to have his experiment or his experience so that he can really be deep in his perception of the perspective around this, right? Right. And I honored myself by not necessarily. Let's see if I can explain this, because it's a weird sensation, but once you do it, it's like the most powerful thing ever. It's like you feel like a superhero. Oh, because think about it. Like when I'm growing up, my dad, who is way taller than us, he would yell at us a lot.
Right.
And we would shake in our knees, and our knees would be knocking and shaking, and the rest of it would be shaking like, wait a minute, is he gonna hit us?
Yeah.
Are we gonna die?
Oh,
You know, it's kind of like,
are we gonna die today?
are we gonna die? You know, my dad was just a frustrated man because he felt he had little control.
Right.
And he had that perspective of his life.
That makes sense.
Right?
No, that's clicking with me right now.
Okay, good. So you know, a younger version of me, if faced with the dad that I was faced with during this phone call, would have shut down.
Mm-hmm.
I would have shut down and been like, okay, I got to get off the phone.
Right.
But because I had learned this technique, and it takes practice.
Right.
Trust me, this is not an overnight kind of a thing.
Right.
It takes a little bit of practice, learning to separate what's mine and what's his. And to see that what's coming at me is his perspective.
Yes. No, that makes a lot of sense. And like, as you're telling me this, it's almost clicking with me as well. Because for the longest time, I knew what the word perspective, 2 points. I knew what that word meant, but I didn't realize like there were so many perspectives because, you know, I grew up with my parents and, you know, my mom was a little bit like anxious just because of like her upbringing or whatever. And like she would come at like these types of things like, if you don't do it, you're going to die or this, that, and the other thing. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, she has the right perspective. You know what? I should freak out at people that don't do this or do that because like her perspective is right. Until like I got other different perspectives and I was like, oh, there's not a unified like correct perspective. There is many.
Yeah, and it's kind of like going to the perspective mall. Let's go shopping for a better perspective.
It's fun, yeah, because I'll just think, oh, my perspective is the right one, or just I'll meet different people, and depending on who's like super loud about it, I'm like, well, that has to be right because they're very passionate. And then sometimes I'll be like, yeah, that doesn't resonate with me.
No, and what we're hitting upon here too is a level of programming.
Yeah.
Right. So we have our parental's perspective of life from based off of their experiences in life. And because they have chosen, and we get to choose our perspective, by the way, much like we get to choose how we're going to think about something that's happening to us, then feel about it, and then act upon it. Right. We have more control than a lot of times we even realize.
Yeah.
All right. I hear y'all out there like yelling at me like, what do you mean I don't have control over my life? But
that's exactly what they sound like.
I know, right?
What do you mean I have control over my perspective? What are you talking about? Yeah. Tell me about that.
My life sucks right now. See, that's your perspective. But hey, what if you started saying, my life is awesome. I at least have this. I have this. And I'm so grateful for that. And when you start changing your perspective to those positives.
Yes. You're right. Speaking of perspectives, this isn't like a tangent. It goes into your thing, I swear. But it's so perfect that you brought this up because for the longest time I'd be like, let me just make it simple and say I want to be a great musician. That's what I want to do. So I would like look at these YouTube videos on like how to play guitar or how to be the best, and then I would go into a rabbit hole of like all these like this person's bad at guitar and this, and I'm like, oh my god, it's so hard to play the guitar, and I'm like in this swirl because I'm feeding into their perspective. And it's until I decided, hey, you know what? I don't really want to buy into that perspective. I'm gonna like, you know, use different types of media or like listen to different things or whatever. And then like, wow, everything just took like a 360. I'm like, wow, I'm not as anxious about the guitar anymore or about music because I'm not feeding into that perspective.
It's amazing how tangible.
Yeah.
Right? Yes. That felt very tangible.
Yeah.
Just making a slight shift.
Oh yeah.
In one's perspective. See, I told you y'all we were going to use that word a lot.
She knew, guys. She knew.
You know, so, and it's a kind of a yummy, tangible feel, and it's light. It is. And it's airy, because when we start when we choose to be in this perspective of the world is heavy,
Yes. Yeah.
then we walk around and the world is heavy.
Yes. Yeah.
But when you shift this perspective to the world is light, all of a sudden the world is light.
You're
And it's sunny and it's bright.
It is.
And it rhymed.
No, you're most certainly right, because I will have my days where I'm just like, harumph, like I don't want to talk to anyone or whatever, and everything just feels so dense. But then, like, you shift the perspective and like, wow, these strangers are really nice to me, or like, oh wow, I got an extra. I don't know, like a string of like lovely luck or something. I don't know.
Oh yeah, or smiles, or fun, unexpected whatevers, right? And the thing too is, as we share all of this is coming to mind for me here, is I just want to say this out loud, that it doesn't matter what perspective you have.
Right.
It doesn't mean it's right or wrong.
No.
And we shouldn't really judge it. But know that we're choosing it.
Yes.
We are choosing it. Like, wake up, you're choosing it. Yeah. And I know I've shared this story on a previous podcast, but it is such a rich story, and I have such compassion for my sister-in-law in the sense of the level of suffering she puts herself through, but she chooses to do that.
Right.
She behaves in such a manner that causes her to be paranoid and think that others are talking about her because she's doing it.
Right.
And that's her perspective, right? That, hey, I'm going to whisper, like you're in the same room, but I'm going to turn my back to you and I'm going to whisper about you to this person that's closest to me. And therefore, everybody else must be doing it about me, right?
Yeah.
And that's her world that she's living in. That's her perspective of the world. But if she were to switch it, right, change her behavior a little bit, and do something a little bit differently, then her world opens up and it changes and it becomes lighter.
Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah. I love that. Me too. All right. Well, I don't know. Is there anything else you think we could say about this perspective piece? You
just want to say it 3 more times, don't you?
I don't know. I kind of like your perspective on this.
Thanks for that perspective. No, thank you. Thank you. Because I guess for me, just being able to shift my perspective, because this is something recently I did with like what kind of media I consume. So once I shifted that, I was able to gain a different perspective, and it's so fun how easy that is sometimes.
And you know what? It's a fun game.
It is.
And I think that if there's a takeaway from this particular session here, right?
Right.
Is have fun with it. Play with it a little bit.
Yes.
Do an experiment.
Yes. Honestly, because for me, I'm the kind of try hard that's like, well, I gotta bend myself this way, and it's like a lot of stress, and I make it a little dense. But like, this time I was like, you know what? Let's try watching a cartoon instead of like a really dense drama or something like that, and just seeing the change.
Yeah, and it's about witnessing to oneself.
Right.
And witnessing to, how does that feel in me?
Like, for sure.
You know what? I'm in a better mood because of this. Or it feels different.
Yeah.
I kind of like it.
I like that.
All right, I'm going to go for more.
Good perspective.
Hey. Thanks, buddy. Hey, and thanks everybody for listening. We hope that you've enjoyed this particular conversation.
I know, it's been different and I love it. I love it.
I love your perspective on the different. All right. Bye, everyone.
Thank you for tuning in. Remember that you are bigger than anything that you are going through or anything that is happening around you.